disagreeable, and I hate him more than anybody else in the world. But he has a large fortune and will make great settlements on me. But then he is very healthy. If I refuse him, he as good as told me that he should offer himself to Sophia, and if she refused him, to Georgiana. If I accept him, I know I shall be miserable for the rest of my life, for he is very ill-tempered and peevish and extremely jealous and so stingy that there is no living in that house with him.
Mary's mother tells her that one of her sisters will accept him if she does not. Her sisters, Georgiana and Sophie, decide they must convince Mary to marry Mr. Watts.
Let us flatter ourselves that Mary will not refuse him. Yet how can I hope that my sister may accept a man who cannot make her happy?
He cannot, it is true, but his fortune, his name, his house, his carriage will, and I have no doubt but that Mary will marry him. Indeed, why should she not? He is not more than 32, a very proper age for a man to marry at. He is rather plain, to be sure, but then what is beauty in a man? If he has but a genteel figure and a sensible-looking face, it is quite sufficient.
This is all very true, Georgiana, but Mr. Watts' figure is unfortunately extremely vulgar, and his countenance is very heavy.
And then as to his temper, it has been reckoned bad, but may not the world be deceived in their judgment of it? There is an open frankness in his disposition which becomes a man. They say he is stingy, we'll call that prudence. They say he is suspicious, that proceeds from a warmth of heart always excusable in youth. And in short, I see no reason why he should not make a very good husband, or why Mary should not be very happy with him.
When Mr. Watts shows up to hear Mary's answer, he proves to be quite unpleasant.
Fine weather, ladies. Well, Miss Stanhope, I hope you have at last settled the matter in your own mind, and will be good so as to let me know whether you will consider to marry me or not.
I think, sir, you might have asked in a genteeler way than that. I do not know whether I shall have you if you behave so odd.
Mary.
Well, Mama, if you be so cross.
Hush, hush, Mary. You shall not be rude to Mr. Watts.
Pray, madam, do not lay any restraint on Miss Stanhope by obliging her to be civil. If she does not choose to accept my hand, I can offer it elsewhere. For I am as by no means guided by a particular preference to you above your sisters. It is equally the same to me which I marry of the three.
Was there ever such a wretch? Sophie reddened with anger, and I felt so spiteful.
Well then, I will have you if I must.
I should have thought, Miss Stanhope, that when such settlements are offered as I have offered to you, there can be no great violence done to the inclinations in accepting them.
What's the use of a great jointer if men live forever? Remember the pin money, 200 a year.
Mary enumerates the carriage, jewels, ball, and trips she expects on her marriage. Mr. Watts thinks to ask Sophie to marry him instead and ask what her expectations are of a husband.
I expect my husband to be good-tempered and cheerful, to consult my happiness in all his actions, and to love me with constancy and sincerity.
These are very odd ideas. Truly, young lady, you had better discard them before you marry her. You will be obliged to do it afterwards.
Eventually, Mrs. Stanhope convinces Mary to accept Mr. Watts, and the family and Mr. Watts negotiate for the settlements. Finally, Mr. Watts leaves at midnight.
Thank heaven he's off at last. How I do hate him.
It was in vain that Mama represented to her the impropriety she was guilty of in disliking him who was to be her husband, for she persisted in declaring her aversion to him and hoping she might never see him again. What a wedding will this be?